Maya had always been different from the others. While most kids her age had been content with their lives, living in the same small town, attending school, and dreaming of the future, Maya spent her time thinking outside the box. She didn't come from wealth. In fact, her family was struggling just to make ends meet. But Maya had something that most others didn't, an incredible mind and a burning desire to make a difference. It wasn't the kind of life that would typically offer opportunities. Maya worked two jobs just to help her single mother pay the bills, but she still found time to study, to learn, and to grow. She was fascinated by technology, coding, and how the digital world could be used to create something bigger, something revolutionary. One fateful afternoon, Maya found herself working at a small cafe in the heart of the city. The rain had started pouring heavily, and the usual crowd of busy professionals had come in, seeking shelter and a warm drink. The cafe, although small, was a hotspot for city dwellers to take a quick break. Little did Maya know that this day would change her life forever. A man entered the cafe, dripping wet from the rain. He was tall, with an air of authority about him. His face was hidden behind a pair of dark sunglasses. But even in the dim light of the cafe, Maya could tell he was someone important. She watched as he walked to the counter, his presence commanding the attention of everyone around him. Without a word, he ordered his coffee and took a seat by the window, staring out at the rain with a look of quiet frustration on his face. Maya couldn't help but wonder who this man was. There was something about him that drew her in, something that made her feel like he was more than just a random customer. Her curiosity got the better of her, and she walked over to his table, offering a polite smile. "Is everything all right, sir?" she asked, unsure of why she felt compelled to speak to him. He looked up at her, momentarily startled. "Yeah, everything's fine. Just a rough day," he replied, his voice tinged with something Maya couldn't quite place. "Is there anything I can do to help?" she asked, her voice soft, yet sincere. The man paused, clearly taken aback by her offer. "You're a strange one," he muttered with a chuckle. "But I suppose you wouldn't understand." Maya raised an eyebrow. "Try me." The man leaned back in his chair and sighed. "I'm Aiden Cross, CEO of Cross Tech, the world's largest tech company. And right now, everything I've worked for is at risk." Maya froze for a moment, her eyes widening in recognition. Aiden Cross. She had heard of him, of course. Who hadn't? His name was all over the news, a tech mogul whose company was worth billions. But hearing it from him, hearing it in person, felt surreal. "Your company is at risk?" Maya asked, still unsure if she fully grasped what was happening. Aiden nodded, his hands running through his wet hair. "Yes, we've been the target of a massive cyber attack. The hackers are demanding millions, but worse than that, they've infiltrated our entire network. If we don't pay, everything I've built will be destroyed." Maya's mind raced. She had heard the news, of course, but she hadn't fully understood the magnitude of the situation. This wasn't just any company at risk. It was Aiden Cross's empire. "Why don't you just involve the authorities?" Maya asked, trying to offer a solution. "They're already involved, but they're too slow, and the damage is already being done," Aiden said, his voice filled with frustration. "I don't know what to do anymore. I feel helpless." Maya could feel the weight of his words. She didn't know why, but she had this intense urge to help him. She wasn't a cybersecurity expert, far from it, but she had a knack for problem solving, for seeing things in a way others couldn't. A thought crossed her mind. She had no idea why, but she decided to speak her mind. "What if I could help?" Aiden's eyes narrowed in surprise. "You? How could you possibly help? You don't even look like you're involved in tech." Maya took a deep breath. "I may not be a tech billionaire, but I know a thing or two about security systems. I've studied them in my spare time, and I think I can help you find the breach." Aiden looked at her, stunned. "You've studied security systems?" "Yes," Maya replied, feeling a surge of confidence. "I may not have a fancy degree, but I know how hackers think. I can track their movements, analyze their behavior. Maybe, just maybe, I can find the loophole." Aiden stared at her for a moment, his skepticism fading slightly. "I don't know, but we're running out of time." Maya gave him a reassuring smile. "Then let's stop wasting it." The digital clock on the wall ticked down. Aiden could feel the weight of every passing second as they raced against time. Maya's plan had given him hope, but he knew they needed to act quickly if they were going to salvage what was left of his company. The attacker wasn't just targeting the company's financial systems anymore. They were going after Aiden personally. It wasn't just a hack anymore. It was a personal vendetta. Sitting in the stark, sleek conference room of Aiden's office, surrounded by computers and screens flashing with endless lines of code, Maya stood at the front. She was in control now, her mind racing through the steps to stop the attack. But as she glanced at Aiden, she could see that he was still shaken by the news. "Are you sure this will work?" Aiden asked, his voice barely audible over the buzzing of the computers. Maya turned to him, a confident smile on her face. "I'm sure. This isn't just about fixing your system. It's about understanding how the attackers think, their psychology. We'll trace their every move and turn the tables on them." Aiden knew she was right. Maya had seen something that his security team hadn't, and it was making all the difference. But he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the situation than just a hack. Maya had a unique way of thinking, a way of seeing problems from a different perspective. And now she was his last hope. As Maya typed away furiously on her laptop, Aiden watched in awe. She was methodical, focused, her fingers dancing across the keyboard with precision. The hours passed, and the room grew quiet, except for the occasional hum of the servers and the soft clicks of keys. Maya didn't speak much, but when she did, her words were sharp and to the point. "They're moving fast," she muttered, "but I'm faster." The security systems Aiden had spent millions developing were being breached, but Maya was tracing the movements, catching every slip and every crack. She wasn't just solving problems, she was anticipating the hackers' next move before they even made it. It was a brilliant, almost intuitive display of genius. "Gotcha," Maya whispered, her eyes lighting up as the final line of code appeared on her screen. Aiden stepped forward, leaning over her shoulder to see the breakthrough. "What's that?" "This," Maya said with a sly grin, "is how we turn the tables." She initiated the sequence, flooding the hacker's system with false data, masking their trail, and locking them out of Aiden's company. The attack that had been wreaking havoc for days was finally coming to a halt. Maya had outsmarted them. It wasn't just about stopping the breach, it was about taking control. Aiden leaned back in his chair, his heart pounding in his chest. He couldn't believe it. One moment, his empire was on the verge of collapse, and now, thanks to Maya, he had the upper hand. She had done it. "How did you—" Aiden started, his voice filled with disbelief. Maya turned to him, her face breaking into a triumphant smile. "I told you, I don't just see the code, I see the game. And in this game, I always win." There was a long silence between them as Aiden processed what had just happened. He had just witnessed something incredible, something he never thought was possible. Maya had done what no one else could, and in doing so, she had saved him and his company. But there was something more in his mind, something about her that he couldn't quite shake. As the hours passed and the systems were secured, Aiden turned to her with a newfound respect. He had always believed that power and money could solve anything, but now he saw something different. Maya was proof that the real power didn't come from wealth. It came from intellect, from vision, from the ability to see the world in a way that no one else could. "Thank you," Aiden said quietly, his voice filled with sincerity. Maya looked at him, her expression softening. "You don't need to thank me. I did what anyone would have done." Aiden shook his head. You saved everything I've built. You saved my future." Maya's eyes softened, and for the first time that day, she let her guard down. She had been so focused on solving the problem that she hadn't realized just how deeply she had impacted him. This wasn't just about a job or a reward. This was about a connection, a recognition that, despite their differences, they shared something important. "I didn't just save your company, Aiden," Maya said with a smile. "I saved your future. You just didn't know it yet." Aiden took a deep breath, standing up. "Maya, I can't offer you just a job. I'm offering you something bigger. You've shown me what true brilliance looks like. I need you on my team, not just as an employee, but as a partner. You're more than capable of helping me lead this company to places we've only dreamed of." Maya blinked, surprised by his words. She had expected him to thank her, maybe even offer her a better position. B.